Kia ora, this is the Benchwarmers Podcast. A couple of Kiwi basketball fans talking basketball. I'm the Ben part of the Benchwarmers, and with even less confidence for a Ben than Ben Simmons taking free throws in the NBA. And while the Lakers made their first trade this week, we've been struggling to trade this guy. No one wants him, but he fits with our salary exemptions. It's Joel Harrison.
Yeah, I think probably the lowest paid player in the NBA, that'd be me. It's good to be back here, though, and it looks like we have some credibility finally this week.
We've got some credibility. A man whose massive head is the size of a basketball. He's a comedian, and unlike me, he gets comedian in articles without those sort of speech marks next to his name. It's Guy Williams.
G'day, nice to be here, and it's a privilege, really. I do a basketball podcast, and this one is much better than mine, so it's nice to be here.
Well, it's great to have you along. Now, you're very tall.
Yeah.
What are you, 6'5"?
I'm 6'6". Same height as Michael Jordan, but I think I'm taller than Michael Jordan. Like, I think every NBA player bumps up their height by an inch or two.
Right.
So yeah, I'm 6'6", and so I'm like, yeah, I'd be a shooting guard in the NBA, but in New Zealand, I'm a lanky freak is what most people would.
You are very tall, but I think because we worked with you, John and Ben, for many years, and everyone must have thought we were very, very short individuals. But no, you're very tall, and we're kind of just average.
Yeah, it really distorts people, and I actually, I make people afraid when they see me because I'm just so tall. But I just people would have no idea if they ran into a Steven Adams or something like that, how big those guys in the NBA are. They are freaks. They're monsters.
Now, Joel just said you've got credibility. You're bringing it along, so thank you for coming along today. You used to play basketball to a pretty high level.
Yeah, well, as I was saying, even playing for Wellington, I would seem small on the court. As I said, most people would see me as the biggest person they've ever seen in their life, but you just don't realize that even a New Zealand basketball player, there's some massive units out there. I used to get dominated by Craig Bradshaw, and Tom Abercrombie's about my size, but he had athleticism, and Corey Webster had skill, and I didn't have either of those key requirements.
What was your thing? What was your thing that you did?
Well, I was the way I describe myself is I was kind of too slow to be a guard and too weak to be a forward, so I was kind of a no man. I called myself 3-and-D, but more I was like, heave. I was like a gunner who can't play D.
There's a great photo of you on the internet that I saw during the week. Now, there's a guy just sort of busting past you. Craig Bradshaw, busting by you. You look sort of a little bamboozled by it.
Yeah. And I love that's
I'm showing you right now. There you go.
Joel's probably too young to know this, but that was a dark time in New Zealand basketball history. It was the And One era. So there used to be this, before YouTube, there was this huge mixtape called the And One mixtape.
There's a great Netflix doco I watched the other night.
Oh, so good. So good. And it was street ball was the concept. And One just took over the world for about 3 years. And the uniforms were silky and baggy.
I love the baggy pants you're wearing there. The almost three-quarter shorts there.
They're comically long. I don't get to choose. Those were just the ones they gave me. 3XL.
You're a big guy, you know.
I'm massive. Those shorts are honestly, I'd say they're 6 inches past my knee. They look like capris, but they're also silky blue. They look like something the Bee Gees would wear. And that was that was the fashion at the time.
No glasses too, I noticed, because you wear glasses. Were you contacts, or was that why you look bamboozled?
No, I wore contacts back in the day, and now I don't wear them, and I can't read, when I play basketball, I can't read the scoreboard. So, it's one of my biggest weaknesses is
Can you dunk? Can you dunk? You can dunk, right?
Yeah, I can, but I say I can. I could back in the day, but the last 2 years, I haven't actually dunked a regulation hoop. So whenever I go to the North Shore or somewhere where I know the rims are a bit janky, I'll have a dunk on one that's 9.8 or something like that. But on a proper 10-foot rim, at the moment I'm not getting there. It's very embarrassing to say.
I can relate to that. I can big time relate to that. I should be able to dunk. I think I'm 6. I thought I was 6'6", but after seeing you, I think I might be 6'5" or something. Yeah. But I know the 9.8 hoops, you love them, but 10-foot, I don't know about them.
Yeah, it's I just have no athleticism. It's just embarrassing.
But you love the NBA like us as well. Who's your team? Who's your go-to team in the NBA?
I'm wearing a Vince Carter kit right now. I'm a big Raptors fan. I got into them when Masai Ujiri moved. I was a Clippers fan through my childhood. I picked them because everyone else mocked them, And I fell off at the Chris Paul, Blake Griffin era. I found them so whiny. They had a racist owner at the time. And so I switched to, I was kind of interested in Denver, and I loved their GM, Masai Ujiri, first African GM in the league. He was interesting and he seemed really smart. He won GM of the year and then got fired. It was the weirdest thing. And he went to Toronto, and my family's Canadian, so I jumped on the Toronto bandwagon, and there was a few years there where they were just grinding but entertaining. And then they got Kawhi, and it cashed in. So I look like a bit of a bandwagon fan, but I've been Toronto for about 10 years now, and they're a good squad, but they're having a rough season.
Well, there's plenty to talk about in the NBA. Overtimes, comebacks, monster dunks, fights, a lot to unpack. So let's get into the starting five.
This is the starting five for the Benchwarmers.
Y'all ready for this?
And while I said we're going to get straight into the NBA, we're not. We're going to get to the NBL actually on the starting five because the Breakers are doing great. They won a really tight game during the week, a 3-pointer on the buzzer. Jarrell Brantley, 30 points. They beat the Kings. Now, Guy Williams, I see you along there in the celebrity row of the Breakers. Yeah, I mean, you got a loud voice. At the best of times. What do you like to sideline at the Breakers?
Yeah, I'm loving it. It's really cool that we've got that experience now in New Zealand where you can sit close to a high level of basketball. You know, it wasn't back in the day in the New Zealand NBL. They used to have a full meal. So again, before your time, Joel, he used to sit down and have like a full steak and potato meal next to the court, and it was really dangerous. And now we've moved forward into this. Like you can literally sit courtside. And I was there, unfortunately, for the Breakers' big loss to the worst team in the league. Was it the Hawks? They lost to the Hawks last Thursday, and they lost on a buzzer. Tom Abercrombie made a buzzer-beating dunk, and then they gave up a buzzer-beating three.
Yeah.
And it was absolutely disheartening, but the crowd at the Breakers games is genuinely, I'd say, lit. And it's like a great experience.
Yeah.
Did you see the game where they played? It was just before Christmas. I think it was in Palmerston North, and they were in a really very, very small arena, and the fans are pretty much touching the players.
Yeah.
It was like a high school gym, it looked like. Yeah.
What I used to love, you used to talk about there used to be full meals sideline, but Dylan Boucher used to play for the Breakers. He was also like the corporate sponsorship guy as well. So I always used to think he was probably mid-game quite distracted by, is table 3, new shrimp for the table? Do they need drinks to table 4? He'd be calling timeouts to hopefully get other, wine orders and all that sort of stuff. So a lot of multitasking in New Zealand basketball.
That's what I love about New Zealand basketball. So Dylan Boucher, that's not a joke. He was their star player. He was their captain. And he was also the guy who booked the corporate tables.
Yeah.
It sounds like a joke. You have to go, no, this is not a joke. The other thing that sounds like a joke, which is one of the most amazing things in sport, I'm surprised ESPN hasn't picked up on this for a 30 for 30, is that there's a guy there who is he's the GM, but he used to be the towel boy. And he went towel boy to mascot to stadium announcement, stadium announcer to. So he literally went from being Cheeky the Kia to the GM of the team, and he still does the announcing this day.
Yeah,
and that's what makes New Zealand basketball great. It's like a real can-do attitude. It's awesome,
and it's awesome to see them doing so well this year, the Breakers. And you've been deep diving on one of the star players.
Yeah, Jarrell Brantley. He pretty much won the game against the Sydney Kings in the weekend.
That's a huge win as well.
Huge win. Yeah, they were top of the table. So I think the Breakers are third now.
Kings are the team to beat.
Yeah.
They're definitely they look a head and shoulders above everyone, but it's good for the Breakers to know they can beat them.
Yeah, and Jarrell Brantley, I didn't know much about him. I was looking him up, and he was actually drafted. I had to write this all down because it's a pretty intense story. He's drafted to the Pacers at the 50th pick on draft night, traded to the Jazz in 2019. Then he played for the Salt Lake team, which is the Jazz feeder team, the 2020 G League, and he was the All NBA G League team, All Rookie team for the G League that year as well. And then he's sort of going downhill, and he went to the Russian League in 2021 for 6 months, and then
the Russian League,
League, and then Russia invaded Ukraine. He didn't want to be a part of Russian sports, so he left and tried to go back to the G League. He was sued apparently, or he tried to be sued, $250,000 for leaving.
Oh, really?
And then in the space of 6 months, he went back to the G League, moved to the Puerto Rico League in the same year. Then he played in the Summer League for the Clippers. And then him and his brother came over to the NBL, and now he's at the Breakers.
Wow.
Oh, wild ride.
When you say his brother, is his brother here with him in Auckland, or is his brother playing also in the league?
I'm not sure what team his brother's in, but it was like the first time an imported duo had played in the same game in an NBL.
No,
him and his brother.
It's really clever, but the NBL realised that our season coincides with the NBA. So if you go to Europe, you can't play NBA. But if you're still trying to make the NBA like he is, and this some of this top young talent is, you can play in New Zealand, and then the season finishes and you can get ready for the next year's draft or summer league.
Yeah, because I actually saw this week that they'd inquired about Bronny James, LeBron James's son. I mean, that's not saying he's coming here, but that's just saying, I mean, we could have inquire about him being on the show and he probably won't come, but it's still that's still awesome. I mean, LaMelo Ball was here, RJ Hampton and stuff, so if it does feel like the league is better and better, and you look at some of the players that have played in the league can step into the NBA.
Yeah, every time you go, you see a name on the other team and you go, oh, I recognize that name, and you realize it was an NBA draft pick or something like that. It really is a high standard, and I'm proud as a New Zealand basketball fan my whole life. It's like amazing where the Breakers are at now, and the fact the team as well, because they had a couple of bad years during COVID, having to play in Tasmania, like it was pretty tough. It's really impressive the way this year they've bounced back. I'm proud of them.
Now, the NBA teams are getting all over the place this week. The Bulls played the Pistons in France for some reason. Paris, I don't know why they had a mid-season game in Paris, but one of the players forgot a passport and almost didn't make it.
That's
good.
It
feels like something that you would do, Guy Williams.
Yeah, that's something. Team players need a passport to go to Canada to play the Raptors.
Well,
so that happens sometimes. Kyrie couldn't. Everyone was hoping that the Nets last year clashed with Toronto because Canada had vaccine requirements, and everyone was hoping the Nets matched up with the Raptors for that reason. Forgetting a passport is so good. Also, shout out to Europe. Like, man, they screw them with NFL and NBA. They send them the most garbage games. Detroit is the worst team in the league, probably by a mile, and they're like, Paris can have that one. They know it'll sell out, and weird.
As well, Victor Wembanyama, is that how you say it?
Wemby.
He's the big guy that everyone wants next year. He's going to be probably the number one draft. They brought him out as well because he's from France, and he was sitting next to Magic Johnson. A lot of pressure on a young kid, you know, like already a superstar, not even playing in the NBA.
LeBron made it look easy because he did it, and everyone's like, is this too much pressure? And LeBron handled the pressure perfectly. But the thing that the one that interests me is like players like Zion and stuff like that. We've had that sky high expectation, had a lot of injuries, had a lot of issues, and like it's good that people are being a bit easier on Zion now. But I do wonder, like, I feel like Zion, even though he is an amazing talent, was a little bit overhyped. It's not easy as a 17-year-old to be called the next LeBron or the next Jordan or whatever. Yeah.
And the NBA is really hyping him up. Like I saw on their Instagram the other day, they posted his stats from a G League game, and it was 11 points, 7 rebounds, and 4 blocks, which is impressive, but it's not like it's not like an astronomical game of anything.
Now, Guy Williams, I know you're very political, and the Golden State Warriors this week, they weren't going to France, they were going to the White House. It looked like a school trip sort of going along there as well. They had to go, I think, in between Biden's afternoon nap and when he watches The Chase, I think at 5 o'clock, like all the other boomers. They gave Biden a basketball jersey. Do you see him wearing that at all? Like he's going to be rocking it out?
Nah.
Or if he does, he's going to be tucking it into his undies like my granddad did. But he got on his knees weirdly for a photo, and then he kind of got up, and everyone kind of reacted. It was kind of weird. I think everyone was just surprised that he got back up. I think that's the main thing. But
what is going? Is it this? Why would he get on his knees?
I don't know,
as a joke?
he kneeled down in front of them. I don't know.
To look short?
Everyone was kind of like, why? One knee, like he was almost like, I don't know. Everyone kind of was like, what's the guy doing? But
it's
anyway,
so awkward.
But I guess it's good to see the teams back there because they didn't go back when Trump was there. They used to go there when Obama was president as well, who was a good baller, Obama, right?
I mean, compared to Trump and Biden, I reckon you'd destroy those guys. I don't know what the scale is here.
So did the NBA teams boycott going to the White House because of Trump?
I think it was a bit. Well, it was kind of a bit both ways. They said they weren't going to go, and then Trump was like, "Well, I don't want you there anyway." So it was kind of one of those situations.
It's very awkward. There's a few weird American traditions like that, like going to meet the president after you win, where it just seems. It's like also how they play the national anthem before every game.
Yeah,
that's very strange. It's doubly annoying being the Raptors fan because they also have to play the Canadian anthem as well.
It's so patriotic though. I was talking about this last week on the podcast while I was there. It's like everyone's standing up, they've got the hats off. It's amazing song, But
it feels kind of, it's not so much in the NBA, but if you go to an NFL game, it feels like propaganda. Like in an NFL game, I went to a Dallas Cowboys game, and they're all like, and this is for the troops. And then they have a song at halftime. It's this like country band going, I love the troops. They're my best friend. And then they bring out some like people who've been injured in the war, and it feels like this weird ad for war. Like it's just so strange.
We went to the same trip just recently. My wife and I went to a 49ers game, and they had a flyover by military helicopters.
Yeah.
And then they had the footage from inside the helicopters. Then they landed next to the field, and they all came out. And geez, I was like, America, yeah. I was getting swept. I almost signed up for the U.S. Army. I was swept up with the propaganda.
It makes you nostalgic though for New Zealand sport, where we only just try and get kids involved in binge drinking. And that's it.
Well, something else that we do. Oh, sorry, Joe.
I was going to say, maybe do they do that at the Warriors NRL versus Storm Anzac Day game? Is that the equivalent? Do we get do we get the fighter jets out for that next or this year? Sorry.
I hate to break this to you, Joel, but we don't have fighter jets.
Jacinda Ardern's plane hardly gets her around the world. All right, it always breaks down. Now there's a big fight that happened between it was the Lakers. They were playing the Grizzlies, and it sort of happened between an ex-footballer, NFL footballer, Shannon Sharp, who was getting into an argument with Ja Morant's dad on the sideline. Then Dylan Brooks from the Grizzlies got involved, and Steven Adams, the big Kiwi, was sort of trying to get involved. There was a bit of a ruckus, and I think it's explained here in this commentary.
A little bit of an incident here courtside at the Crypto.com arena. Dylan Brooks was having words with Shannon Sharp, Hall of Famer and broadcast. And you see Steven Adams comes over to protect his guy along with the supporting cast, and then Shannon Sharp still talking, and T. Morant, Ja Morant's dad, comes over. Had an opportunity to talk to T. Morant, and he said, my blood pressure didn't go up a bit. Nothing but love and respect for Shannon Sharp.
That's kind of odd. Well, it was a sideline fight that would happen in kids' primary schools, with the parents and stuff in New Zealand, where the dads get a bit too involved.
I think it stemmed from last year as well, because I saw a clip the other day, and Desmond Bain, the shooting guard, who I think is injured at the moment as well, he was like having a go against LeBron, and LeBron was really angry at him last year. He was chirping him, and then he dunked on him, and then it's kind of flowed over this year, and then seems like the Grizzlies have a bit of getting a bit cocky as well.
Yeah, I worry about the Grizzlies. I feel like they just have too many hotheads, too many young dudes. Like even Ja as the leader is like quite cocky. They're good to have Steven Adams, I guess, is now like the veteran person there to steady the ship and the enforcer. But I just think it's gonna cost them the playoffs the way they constantly like when you get into a fight with a celebrity on the sideline, you're not really focused on the game, you know?
I love that everyone was trying to move Steven Adams like out of the fight, and he just wasn't moving. Like he's so big, he's such a big dude that everyone's trying to, and he's just like, I mean, you travelled to see Steven Adams, didn't you? To play, didn't you go to OKC to see Steven Adams?
Yeah, I love Steven. Every time I see him in Auckland, I'm real weird around him. I always go, the whole country's proud of you, man. I'm like, why am I? Just be cool, guy. Just be normal. Yeah. But like, he's a Kiwi. Again, talking about how proud I am seeing the Breakers like thriving in New Zealand. Seeing Steven Adams in the NBA is amazing. And I've always tried to temper Kiwis' expectations about him. I've been like, oh, he's not a superstar. He's just a role player. But everywhere he's gone, he's just achieved amazing success. And like, he's a big part of obviously it's Ja Morant and Desmond Bain and Jaren Jackson Jr., those young players coming through. But he's like, as a veteran presence, he just has a winning vibe about him. It's a real testament to him.
Yeah, he's averaging the third most amount of rebounds in the league per game at the moment as well, only behind Sabonis and Giannis, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
And now LeBron James talked, I think, after the game about his mate Shannon Sharp, who is the footballer that got involved.
No. I mean, I ride with Shannon 365 days, 66 on a leap year, 24/7. So that's my guy. So I always got his back, and he got mine. So he could talk with the best of them for sure.
I love LeBron. I'm a huge LeBron fan, but I also love how he clarified that not even on leap years as well. All their mountain days, it's not just 306. It's like an extra day on the leap year as well. That's how much they ride together, which is kind of cool. They've got a friendship, but interesting to see someone get involved. He's a broadcaster now and a football legend, but getting involved with arguments with players.
The whole situation was weird. You nailed it when you said it was like high school. It was like primary school, like touch rugby or something like that. And the dads would always be having a go at the refs. It was so weird. And to see that happening with professional athletes, it is cool though to see. Like, you do sometimes wonder, like NBA, like the players are too mellow and too chill. Like you see a lot of those stars like Jason Tatum and nothing phases them, which is what makes them good, Steph Curry. But like, it's good to see occasionally a little bit of
do you
aggro.
like that? Yeah, it also happened this week as well with the Lakers as well, because when they played the Blazers, like Pat Bev, who loves to have a word, was getting he was chipping in with Damian Lillard, and then Lillard went amazing, went on a streak, but then the Lakers came back, and Pat Bev's doing the whole broken watch Dame time thing at the end of the game just to troll him. Do you like seeing that? Do you guys like seeing that happening? That happened during the game?
It's good, yeah. I think Pat Bev, he's just the epitome of a pretty average player who's just chirping his way to being good. But yeah,
he's like got a big future in broadcasting, And I'm disappointed the Lakers haven't been more. I mean, they've been a pretty big shit show. Don't get me wrong. No offense, Ben.
Yeah.
But like, I was hoping for more of a shit show. Like with Russell Westbrook has been surprisingly contained.
Yeah.
And Bev and Westbrook on the same team. Like those guys have long beef. And it's kind of disappointing to see them be able to squash it so quickly. Because
not for a Lakers. I'm not like the Lakers. It's great that they're sort of holding it back.
I wanted to see a fist fight on the court, because it was Beverly back in the OKC days. Beverly was the one who injured Westbrook. I think when he was playing for the Rockets, was it? He put a cheap shot on Westbrook's leg just before the All-Star break, and it really hurt Westbrook before they hadn't missed a game. So there's deep roots there, eh?
Do you reckon it's like one of those marriages that there's a lot of pent-up sort of anger at some stage, and someone's going to, there's going to be
someone's going to snap. What do you mean one of those marriages, Ben? That was a weird thing.
Everything will get at home at the moment.
I don't want to talk about our personal problems. Another epic match this week. It went into overtime. It actually felt like a bit of a playoff game when I watched this one. It was the Celtics taking on the Warriors. It was so many games happened, and this was this week, but it felt like almost 2 weeks ago. So the Celtics, they came back and took it out.
Yeah, it was a game that the Warriors, they were winning pretty much most of the game. I think they were up by 11 points going into the fourth quarter as well, and they just blew it. Tatum stepped up. Jaylen Brown was pretty much doing nothing until fourth quarter and overtime as well, and they look pretty good, Celtics at the moment. It's
really the Warriors are interesting, because you always expect a couple of things from veteran teams, and one of them is you expect as I said before, like level-headed professionalism, which I mean Draymond literally punched his team out in the head.
Yeah,
it's the opposite of that. That's what a rookie. That's what you expect the Grizzlies to do. And the other thing is being able to defend a lead or close out a game, or in football we call it park the bus. Get your lead, keep the score ticking over, and just play good D and just close out the game. And the Warriors haven't been able to do that at all. They haven't been able to shut the door on teams, and it's really surprising from the defending champs. And you never want to write them off, and you'd assume now if they could make it into the playoffs, like they're doing terrible at the moment, if they could have a good second half of the season, you'd expect them to maybe make the finals and be able to beat anyone. But I'm almost willing to go the Warriors could almost be done. I don't want to say.
It's a weird thing though. They lost that game. They were up against the Celtics. Then they rested. I think they rested Steph, Clay, Draymond, and then they beat the Cavs in that game, which is so unusual. And then they lost to the Nets a few days later. So it's so weird.
And a similar sort of letting the Nets back into the game. I realize this could sound stupid, but I think the Warriors are done.
Yeah, I feel like it's very frustrating because there was 20 seconds to go as well, and Curry, who's obviously the best 3-point shooter in the game, they could have worked for a 2-point shot. All they needed was a layup, and he just took his time and then tried to go for the glory shot.
Well, did he get that massive? Have we got the audio of that? The massive half court almost was over halfway, wasn't it? Court shot during the game.
9 for the Celtics, and a takeaway. Excellent defense by Boston. Oh, and now Curry gets it right back from half court, and it's good. A Curry moment in Boston.
Pretty awesome. The most popular jersey sales of the year have been released, and he's number one, Steph Curry. So popular. But how many? You got 14 jerseys. I was reading an article on you during the week, Guy Williams. This is what you quoted. You've got more than that now.
I would have just made that up. I would have NBA jerseys. I've actually got more football kits now. I reckon I'd have about 20 NBA kits, and then I went mental. I think it's some sort of this weird thing amongst dudes, especially in their late 20s, 30s-ish. Where you seem to be just doing the thing that you missed out on your childhood. So Barstool shoes, kits, jerseys. Everyone's buying old Super Rugby jerseys in New Zealand at the moment. They're $400 on Trade Me or something crazy. Ben used to have a library of those.
Yeah. You got one of my old basketball. I think it was a Tracy McGrady basketball singlet because it was way too big for me. I was like, I'm swimming in this. And you were like, it fitted you perfectly.
But back in your Pulp Sport days, you guys had a whole floor of legendary New Zealand. You had Shane Warne jerseys to, I think a Pakistan cricket. It's a real impressive range.
We had a whole lot of stuff in there.
And that would have been worth now. That would been worth like, 50 grand, It's kind of crazy. But Legos is the other one. It's like dudes just chase that and I just can't. It's my addiction. I can't stop buying like basketball jerseys and football jerseys.
I went to the Lakers game obviously a few weeks ago and I bought a wallet. The kids were like, you need to buy something. It's your favourite team. I'm like, oh, okay. Well, and I bought a wallet, but I've been mocked for it because it's a Velcro wallet. There you go. And everyone's like, are you still a virgin? What's going on? Like the other day, I met up with mates. I was like, oh, a stick. And that's it, It's like, which kid's wallet's that? So
I think a Lakers wallet, Lakers Velcro wallet is the most Ben Boyce thing I've
I was like, it'll do fine. So I'm regretting that purchase right now. One tip though, I do find for the NBA singlets is because with my size, I can buy the kids ones and they're often cheaper.
Can you actually?
You buy
this is a joke.
You buy the kids ones, the plastic. They have the size. Sometimes they're the longer kids versions, and they fit, and they're a cheaper price.
Don't tell people that though. Okay, keep quiet.
You have to have my physique as well.
Guy, do you have any like vintage NBL jerseys?
New Zealand NBL, nothing good, unfortunately. I got a couple of old Giants ones, but they're from like the dark ages of like the late 2000s, where like there's just way too many sponsors on it and not enough design. But if anyone out there is listening, I will buy anything. I'm desperate for 90s Giants or 90s Canterbury Rams. Canterbury Rams just started releasing like throwbacks. Got a sick like Ram logo, almost like this. It really looks good. And I was like, I've got vintage Canterbury Rams gear. It's so good, but I want like some OG. Do you have any?
I don't have any. I was just thinking maybe from your M1 days.
Yeah.
Do you have any of those M1 shorts as well?
M1 shorts, yeah, silky.
He uses the shorts as a sleeping bag when he goes on camping trips. That's how big they are.
Did you grow up in an NBL town? Like, did you grow up supporting an NBL team?
No, I've always been in Auckland, so yeah.
Well, Auckland's always had good teams, but no one ever watches them.
Yeah.
That's why the Breakers were amazing to turn it around, because they had the Auckland Stars, Auckland Pirates, they had the James Blonde Waitakere Super City Rangers, the longest name in sports names. And they've got all these teams, but no one goes to watch any of them. It's a shame,
Yeah.
5, we're going to head to the stat bunker.
Yeah, so this week in the stat bunker, it's a bit of a weird one because last year in the NBA Finals, the Celtics took on the Warriors. The Warriors won, and I saw a stat that the Orlando Magic, who are probably in the top 3 worst teams or something in the league, would you say? Or
No, they're coming back now.
They're coming back.
They should be in the worst because they should be tanking, but they're decent. They're beating good teams at the moment.
Yeah, but their last 5 games playing against the Celtics and the Warriors, they're 3-0 against the Warriors and they're 2-0 against the Celtics. So that's something you don't see every day.
Yeah. The Magic are my brother's team, and they're such a funny team, man. I love them so much. Jonathan Isaac just announced he was coming back to the court where he got his pastor to announce it. And the pastor's like, he is healed! He is healed! This guy, if you don't know him, he's like a favorite of like American Republicans. He's like this kind of like Christian conservative. He released a book that was popular with Ben Shapiro, Jonathan Isaac, and he's just like, I've never met a player that God hates more than Jonathan Isaac, but I'm so glad. Welcome back to the court, Jonathan Isaac, and thanks for being healed. And he had a great first game back as well, so maybe he's part of the success as well.
Yeah, and Franz Wagner is looking great at the moment as well. He was a steal in the draft.
I love the Wagner brothers. There's Franz and Hans and Wangs, and they've got the Magic have them all, and I love them so much. I refuse to learn their names, but there's about 7 of them, and they're so tall and so white.
In addition to that Jonathan Isaac thing, did you guys know that the last time he played was when he was 22, and now he's 25?
That's
he hasn't played for 3 years.
Yeah. So
great maths for me on the fly there, guys. Everyone worked that out.
It goes with the wallet, so we're perfectly informed here.
Yeah.
He's healed.
Let's head to fantasy.
Hey there. What's your fantasy?
Sorry, fantasy basketball? Yeah, basketball.
Guy Williams joining us today on the podcast. Do you play fantasy leagues, or have you kind of not got that part of your life taken up by fantasy?
I was too into it, and I had to give up because it was just taking too much of your time. It does take over.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And because you have to update your rosters, and if you miss a week, you're ruined.
Yeah.
So
and every day you have to make sure players, who's injured, So we all have our individual teams at the moment, but then we join together for the Benchwarmers in a league. And who is actually running that right now? Because we got together last week and I walked away and I was like, well, who's responsible for this?
Yeah, I don't think
Are you
anyone.
taking it?
Well, I didn't really do anything as well. So let's just say no one did. I did auto select, and I seen someone else made a trade, which definitely wasn't me.
Oh, so right. Did you make a trade?
Wasn't me. I think maybe Storm Hitai. He's making trades from his MediaWorks accounts.
Yeah, no, and it definitely definitely was on one of the days as well. So it was like early last week, maybe on the Wednesday, someone made a trade.
So how are we going? Because we were winning and then we dropped back a little bit.
So we're still doing terribly. We got off to we really took off though. We went 8-0, and then we've just lost the last 4 games straight because we've had a few injuries. We had Gobert out for a while. Steph was out for quite a bit as well, and we just keep getting smashed by injuries. Like Mitchell had been out as well, so we got smoked last week. I think 6-3. We were no chance of winning. All I would say though is this week is that who's going to take it? It's definitely not me. Who wants to put their hand up?
I'll step up.
Will you actually do it?
I'll do it. I feel like I haven't done it once this season, and I'll do it. I'll stand up and do it.
This is a shocking. I've never heard of 4 people running one fantasy team.
I know, but no one has responsibility.
I think we're still top of the table though. I think, or second.
Yeah, that's the thing. You need the responsibility on your shoulders, otherwise you're like, well, someone else will do it, and clearly no one else is doing it.
I think the bad thing is that we started and we were just smoking everyone, so everyone just like lost care about it, and then here we are after 12, 13 weeks of not caring, we've finally lost, and then we're thinking, oh, maybe we should do something. We kind of caught ourselves out.
You're
like the All Blacks. You got complacent, man.
Yeah. We're like the Warriors, and then eventually someone's going to be like Draymond and punch someone else in the face. I think the team's going to fall apart.
Yeah. I just heard you said Rudy Gobert's out, and we haven't actually talked about his trade from last year at all on this podcast, I don't think, and it's actually eventuating into one of the worst trades of all time. It
does seem to be, because they gave up a lot to get Rudy Gobert, right?
Do you have anything to make?
I'm so sad, man. Like, you always have like secondary teams, and the secondary teams for me are always the teams that are like, if there was relegation in the NBA, they'd be relegated by now. Sacramento Kings and the Minnesota Timberwolves are top of the list, and the Minnesota Timberwolves were just looking good.
And the Kings are good this year.
Yeah, and but they'll find a way to screw it up. Don't you worry about that. And Karl Anthony Towns, and they got who's their star player?
Anthony Edwards.
Anthony Edwards. He's great in that Adam Sandler movie.
He is really good. Yeah.
Plays a great villain, but Anthony Edwards is so exciting. Like, he's a future, like behind Ja Morant, he's one of the most like marketable players, I'd say. And they've just
Anthony Edwards, actually, speaking of it, so I think we got him dunking this week, and the commentators going crazy.
Yeah, it's on YouTube.
Driving. Oh! Hide your wife! Hide the kids!
It was a monster dunk. Sorry. Yeah, but you're right. They kind of gave away a lot.
Yeah. No. So just to that dunk, that was on. Was it Yuta Watanabe? Was it the kind of Japanese player?
Yeah.
I just realized. I actually have no idea what his heritage is.
No,
so
he is Japanese.
Me if I got it wrong.
He is Japanese. Yeah.
But he played for the Raptors, and Anthony Edwards probably landed like an all-time dunk on him. And then you'd assume that Utah would be like more prepared for this guy to dunk on him. He got him twice in that game. And the first one, people were like, this is amazing, got him again. And then he did an even better one. And that reaction from the commentators was so good. But yeah, sorry to all those Timberwolves fans out there. There can't be many, but it's just such a poorly run organization. And this trade is unfortunately they probably have to trade Karl Anthony Towns. I don't know what the solution is, but they're in a deep hole now.
And there's a lot of talk about how, because they gave away so much for the Gobert trade, like that, it's almost ruined other trades, because other people are looking at star players now, and they're like, well, we need to give away that, to
trade
get a star
inflation,
player.
and that's the problem with the Raptors, right? They're asking for too much, but it really is. It's a grim indication. Yeah.
There's been some funny moments this week, and we'll quickly look at some of those before we wrap things up.
It's the big alley. Ooh, it's not the one, It's not the one.
Now, LeBron James has been playing in the league for a long time, and he got reminded about it this week. Have a listen.
Hey, you played against my dad. Your first NBA game ever. Really? Sacramento. You feel old, don't you?
Jabari Smith Jr. there reminding him that he played against his dad, and he's had a few father-son combinations too, LeBron. That's how long he's been in the league.
Unbelievable. You're looking at me because I said before I had a hot take on LeBron.
Yeah.
Careful.
I'm ready for this.
What are you going to say? My favorite player?
Yeah, favorite player. I'm sorry to say this, but I'm just going to come out and say it. And I've said it about a few people, and I could be wrong. And this is allegedly. I'm like, he's 38 years old. He's scoring 38 points a game. You've got to look at potential PEDs, allegedly. Do you not?
Oh, don't say that.
Do we not say that? Do we not have to say that? How is he so... He's like second in the... Yeah, do we not think that, though? I'm 35. I can't even touch the rim anymore.
But he's been training. He hasn't stopped. He hasn't stopped. I mean, when did you start playing?
Yeah, that's a good point, eh? But like back in the day, Kobe used to always head to Germany for these weird blood transfusions, and I was like, blood transfusions means doping, I reckon. I don't know. I'm just saying it there. I'm just saying I've got no evidence of this. Besides the fact that no one has ever done it like this before. All the other players of his age are out the league.
You can't come on the podcast and then get us done for defamation. I can come back again.
I can get behind this. I feel like I can get behind this.
No.
We'll get it spiraling. LeBron James PEDs.
No, don't.
Okay, I'm just saying allegedly. I've got no evidence. I'm just throwing it out there into the world. And if I get murdered by a LeBron James fan tomorrow, then I deserve it.
It might be Ben Boyce.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of LeBron. I disagree with everything he just said. And just quickly, Nick Claxton this week had this to say about Royce O'Neale.
I know you want me to talk to Royce O'Neale, but that big shot from Royce, we're used to that now at this point, right?
Yeah, he got big balls. He definitely steps up in the crunch time.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, it's an interesting way of saying he's got. I'm guessing he's mean big shots as far as that goes. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I saw that also touching on big balls this week. Victor Wembanyama apparently he's got 20.5 size feet as well. So I'm sure he's probably sitting.
What's yours, Guy Williams? What's your shoe size?
I'm small. I'm 12 and a half.
Yeah.
That's pathetic, isn't it?
I'm running a 13, so I feel quite good about myself now as well.
The big balls, bring it back, eh? The NBA got rid of all that chat, but I remember when Sam Cassell back in the day used to do he'd make a big shot and then he'd run down down the court miming that he was juggling his big balls. And it was such a bad celebration. And bring it back, I say. Bring it back.
It's been a lot of fun. Thanks so much, Guy Williams, for coming along. We really do appreciate it. Do you have a pick for who could take out the season?
Oh, I think Celtics are running away with it, eh? That's an obvious pick. But, man, the Eastern, for the first time in years, the Eastern Conference, they've been good for the last few years. Eastern Conference playoffs are going to be amazing, right? You've got the Bucks, obviously, and just hopefully Middleton can come back strong. And Philadelphia is just there. No one talks about them, but they're just like, they're not going to be fun to play. Miami, there's all those other wild card teams that like you never know what they're going to do. And Cleveland is handy as well. So like it's not going to be easy for Boston, but if you're gambling, you'd be silly not to put money on Boston.
Yeah, I completely agree.
And comedy gigs coming up that people can go along and see you perform at?
Oh, thanks for asking, man. I'm doing Auckland, Wellington, Melbourne, and Sydney. Please come along. I'm desperate.
Melbourne? So how do you go in Australia? How's it?
Not sure. Well, I'm going for the first time, so who knows? No, I sold out some shows there last year. Just did some little shows to test it out.
Shit, that must be a nerve-wracking thing, wouldn't it? Like saying I'm going to be in this venue and watching ticket sales.
No, well, I'm doing. It's nerve-wracking because I'm doing 24 gigs. So 24 nights in 4 weeks. It's pretty. Does that math make up? Yeah, 4 nights off. Yeah.
One of the things we did, because on the John and Ben show, we did it. We did well on TikTok as well. We played a prank on you where we bought every ticket, John and I, to a gig, and we're like, it's just us in the audience. But people pointed out you didn't have to do any jokes. You only did like 1 minute, and you got a sold out like thing. You got full money. So who was the joke on?
It turned out well. It turned out well in the end. But yeah, that's what that and the no one laughing at my gig. Two people always. It's weird the ones people remember, eh? Because those.
We held up a sign before you came on, and you didn't know we were there, saying "No one laughed."
No one laughed.
And geez, it was awkward.
Yeah, it was.
I felt so bad for you because you obviously, you're trying because you want to try and get a laugh, and everyone's trying not to laugh, and
Bro, the way my career's been going, I've done no laugh gigs enough times. I can handle it, eh? I can handle it.
That is the Benchwarmers for another week. Make sure you like and subscribe. Thanks so much for joining us, Guy Williams. We'll catch you next week.
Cheers.